All right, so you know we got to keep you covered. There's so many choices in the theater and streaming on television, so we bring in our expert, Richard Roeper, to let you know what to see and what to skip. So we're starting with like a classic. So kids from the generation, what? X?
Yeah, one of those letters, alphabet
X's
letters.
Or the Y's?
So Masters of the Universe. Remember that, Marion? For a while there, it was like a huge after-school viewing appointment.
Really bad animation.
And the toys and everything. So the movie kind of leans into that campy aspect of it, but I can't recommend it. It's not worth it. Here's part of my problem. The running time is 132 minutes. Now, my St. Jude the Apostle, Thornridge High math tells me that that's more than 2 hours, I think, right? There's a fun 75-minute movie maybe lost in this 2-hour and 12-minute movie, Marion. It goes on, and the jokes, they keep repeating them. CGI action sequences, you know, there are a few moments that are great callbacks to the original, but it was always kind of campy. So to try to turn it into the Avengers, I think it's just a big misstep. I still think it's going to do well because there's so much nostalgia right now for big, dumb, stupid, escapist fare, but they really missed with this one.
It needed a major edit, it sounds like.
It's Master of No Worlds, No Universes.
Okay,
right,
another throwback, Cape Fear. Originally, it was a movie with Robert Mitchum in 1962. I was scared enough of that movie on like Turner Classic Movies to not want to see the 1991 remake with Robert De Niro.
Yes.
And now you got Javier Bardem, the most frightening human being I think out there.
You know, No Country for Old Men. Anton Chigurh is like the most memorable villain of all times. I am recommending this one. It's worth it. You just mentioned, Marion, this Max Cady villain has been played by 3 of the greatest generational actors of all time, and Javier Bardem's great. This one's very lurid. It sometimes gets preposterous, but it's kind of dripping in pulpy film noir, and you can tell the saturated colors. It's set in Savannah, Georgia, so you get that, you know, that Spanish moss, which is beautiful, but also kind of scary. The trees that can kind of touch the ground, and you see Amy Adams there, 6-time Academy Award nominee, Patrick Wilson. So it's a great cast. They kind of go overboard with some of the twists and turns, but I love the look of this show. And then Javier Bardem.
He's so scary.
And yet charismatic. You can see why people are drawn to him.
100%.
And it does touch a lot about, you know, criminals who are exonerated and, you know, can they get their justice? Has the system broken them from years in prison, even if they weren't guilty? It draws on that a little bit, too. So it's very well done.
All right. That's one. So that, I assume, is a one to see.
That is worth your time.
All right. Now, this Caroline, this is interesting.
Yeah.
We do hear of people getting caught up in romances that are with maybe a con person. This seems to be happening all the time. So how does this relate to this film?
That's exactly what happens, Marion, and I am recommending this. And it is set in modern day, but it reminds me of those 1970s gritty thrillers, Badlands, you know, where a couple gets on the run, and Samara Weaving plays this young woman. She's in a nowhere life in small town, kind of thinking this stranger comes in with this blue Chevy SS and he's charming. So they start going on a crime spree that starts off just simple cons, but then it's robbing banks, and then it's getting more and more dangerous. So as you mentioned, it's a crime thriller, and there's action and heists and all that, but it's really about toxic relationships. And that moment where she comes to realize that maybe that boring small town life, taking care of her ailing father, working a normal job, wasn't so bad after all, that the grass is sometimes really, really scorched and lost on the other side. So it kind of takes some surprising twists and turns, but I liked it because it has that gritty 1970s independent film look. And this is playing at the Music Box and other theaters around. So if you're not in the mood for Masters of the Universe and by the power of Grayskull, you can actually go see something that's good.
All right, you got 2 in there, though. So
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
No.
Not bad.
Thanks, Richard.
Thanks, Mary.
Roper's Takes will be right here every 11 live on Thursdays, and again at 4 o'clock also on Thursdays. We'll be right back.